early in the development of this game. You can cut the metal beams apart with your lightsaber, or bend them using your force powers, and the glass cases shatter nicely, even having the tops of them fall once the glass walls beneath them have given way. Next gen. Let's take some time out just to enjoy the physics in this room, with some help from this Wookiee. I'm going to call him 3 Clicks Philip. Watch him demonstrate the euphoria physics as I force choke him up into the air. There we go. We'll just place him out of harm's reach for now, right up there. Watch how this glass shatters realistically beneath him. Oh, sorry 3 Clicks Philip. Now watch how realistically the rest of this glass breaks, showering the area and anything hairy within the vicinity with millions of shards of glass. And this dinosaur's face is satisfyingly morphable as well. To demonstrate this, I put on a bit of a puppet show. Subscribe, smash that like button. Comment, may the force be with you if you've reached this far. The best bit of this level though, in my opinion, are these wooden huts atop the metal stilts. And the game gives you ample numbers of stormtroopers, boulders and Wookiees to yeet at these, breaking off the wooden panels which collapse and splinter very nicely. But check this out. A heavy boulder can even morph the metal stilts that these things are sat on. Isn't that beautiful? And also very unnecessary. But beautiful. For me, it's the way these different materials interact that constantly impresses me. You'd expect different objects to just pass through each other to save on processing power, especially because of all the people who played this game, it's probably only me who bothered smashing them apart like this. As an example of how different things interact with each other, look at how you can jam this bendy metal cable in this door, and then it will stop that door from being closed. Proof that all of this is physics-based and not pre-scripted in the slightest. It's just a shame you can't use this electrical thing to shock the Wookiee in the cell, and he must wonder what the hell I'm doing, but if he knew the game he was in, I think even he would appreciate it. If you're anything like me, seeing the cool DMM physics systems in The Force Unleashed, your mind immediately thinks, what if we were to coat video game characters in this gooey, meaty text that we can rip their limbs off? That way we could finally get a worthy sequel to Soldier of Fortune 2. Because surely that's the reaction a sane person would have to this tech. I mean, even the devs were thinking it, as demonstrated by a YouTuber, aptly named DMM Jedi. He's got all sorts of weird, funky DMM showcases, like this incredible castle demolition sequence, this spaceship destruction sequence, a Rube Goldberg contraption, and my favourite, Minecraft, with DMM. Doesn't it make you want a jelly? Yum 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 yum, because something really cool started happening. Developers who worked on that game 17 years ago
have been openly chatting about the technology in the comments section of my videos.
One even gave me a sneak peek at what they're currently working on, but more of that later. First of all, level 8 of The Force Unleashed. And this level's interesting because it contains all of the ingredients required to make a fleshy body simulation. Immediately you can make out all these stringy snot or mucus physics, essential for any simulation of a human character, I think you'll agree. But there's another effect I really want you to see. I did actually talk about it in a previous video, but it's these claw physics that you can rip out of the ground and away from their fingery, fleshy bases, found in this corner just here. Now I'd love to show you this one more times, but you have to go through a fight to get to it and it's rather exhausting. So make the most of these clips here. You're welcome. Your lightsaber effortlessly slices through it, leaving an increasingly ragged bunch of jelly chunks until it fades out, which happens way too soon. But maybe that's why I like all this so much, because I never feel quite full. These physics taunt and tease me, and I always feel like I could manage another slice. Euphoria plus physics equals torture. It's what it was made for. First day of his life as he dramatically struggles against these bouncy mushrooms and fails. This better not awaken anything in him. It's too late for me.
Now I'm angry.
Force push is OP in this game. Why bother engaging in lightsaber duels if you can just pick these guys up and let nature take care of the rest? And this isn't a failure of the game, by the way. I actually think it's one of its greatest strengths. In the same way that GTA 4 revelled in its sandbox civilian torture simulation, which I have had the footage on my hard drives for years and still haven't got around to covering for some stupid reason. I don't know why this game does this, but a bunch of the most fun objects to break apart are always put in the boss fight at the end of the level, where you're just a little bit too busy fighting something to be able to appreciate how all this stuff breaks apart convincingly. But here are a few demonstrations of what I managed whilst being chased about the arena by a hefty chungus. This bit of spine is particularly fun. Were I this hefty chungus, I don't think I'd resist the temptation to tear it apart. So while Starkiller hangs out here, let's go check out these fun facts the DMM devs deployed in my comment section. Did you know there were 20,000 DMM objects on that wibbly wobbly plant map? 20,000! And I've probably wibbled all of them at this point. Twice. There's this weirdly out of place museum room in one of the levels I covered in my previous video, full of unique props that you could interact with, and I speculated that this room was made early on in the development process to showcase the destruction, but it appears that purpose was served by this cage, which they said was used as a stress point for the maximum number of physics objects the game could handle at once. And the very last level they worked on was actually the first level in the game, where you control Darth Vader destroying all sorts of stuff. It always felt like one of the most polished and interactive stages in the game to me, and this would be why, since by the time they worked on this they had figured out how best to use the tech. Over the course of this game's development, they apparently improved DMM's performance by 10 times. Apparently Darth Vader's awesome looking cloak proved problematic because it kept flopping over his helmet and getting in the way of his vision, making him all look all silly and stuff. I wonder if Jedi could use that trick against him in a fight. They had to restrain the simulation a bit to prevent this from happening, as demonstrated here where I'm doing my best to get the cape over his face. And this next level's a smelly one. It's a return to that ugly scrapyard world from earlier, and another fun fact, the developers used DMM in a clever pre-baked kind of way for this game. They said they created spacecraft for the junkyard levels and then would just drop them into the environments that they smash up a bit, and then they'd save it in that half-smashed state rather than having to try and model a bunch of half-smashed spacecraft by hand. In a way, DMM was used as a time-saving device, but it does mean that I don't get the fun of dropping them into the level myself. And it is nice to accidentally crush somebody stood the other side of these things when all I'm trying to do is just to have fun with the physics. The character's Euphoria animation physics system is also quite fun in this level, where I can pick up plebs and force them to grab hold of something high up, which makes them hold on for dear life before eventually plummeting to their deaths. Some can hold on for a remarkable length of time, others not so much. And I did like it here in this cutscene where something went wrong and they all fell over. Then after a fight against Darth Maul robot guy, we get onto this infamous stage of the game. Now, Starkiller, the person you play in this game, is overpowered by any metric you use. Not only does he make light work of literally any character you can think of within the Star Wars universe, but his force abilities are so powerful I genuinely believe he could kill a star if he wanted to. And to demonstrate his OP-ness, I present this, which should have been a highlight of the game. But thanks to shoddy controls and bugged timings, it proves to be one of the most infuriating moments in video game history. Yes, you have to take down a bunch of TIE fighters, then bring down a destroyer. But you never have enough time to do it before more TIE fighters come, and then you have to take them down again and repeat the whole process again and again and again. It drove me insane. Finally! And after all that, we're not even the ones to do the cool looking DMM destruction. No, all that is reserved for a pretty awesome looking video sequence where you can tell that Starkiller enjoys this destruction just as much as the rest of us. What a shame I spent this time massaging my poor wrists, having likely exerted even more effort than he had during the previous scene. Now we get on to the sad bit of this video, the bit that makes you cry, because it turns out DMM was doomed to fail, for it was never that fun to use. It was apparently a pain in the ass to license and to implement. It required a collaboration with the DMM engineers and artists to implement into each and every item that you wanted using DMM in your game, making the process time intensive and extremely risky. for what if a DMM object only served to hinder the game in some way, making it impossible to get past a DMM door that flexed in the wrong way, or where a stray bit of DMM debris crashes a sequence during playtesting, proving impossible to bug test? What if, later on in development, you need to revisit and revise something DMM related? And what could have been a quick and easy fix is made exponentially longer and more challenging by having to collaborate with another company to fix whatever asset it is that you're having problems with. What about in 5 or 10 years' time? What if the DMM technology is no longer in existence? Does it mean you simply cannot change something that's already in a game of yours? It just all adds hassle. Force Unleashed's development was already rushed and cut short, and the second game even more so. Why compound all these problems by risking it all with something additional like DMM? The technology found its use in movies, which don't come with the uncertainty and variability that interactive video game sequences do. It popped up in all kinds of awesome and imaginative sequences over the years. But with the cancellation of games featuring DMM, its existence within video games seemed doomed. So we'd better make the most of the last level of Force Unleashed, shouldn't we? This one takes place in the Death Star and has this rather sneaky flaw that you must smash apart to get through, namely by dropping big heavy things onto it. Then Starkiller faces his only weakness: the Death Star's beam. This thing is hideous, it takes ages to power up and then fires for way too long, blocking your progress through the level, because it gets in the way of everything, including the destruction of this beautiful stained green glass, which is one of the best examples of DMM glass in the game. See, if they made planets out of this glass, then the Death Star wouldn't be able to do anything with it. And then, as is tradition, it saves the coolest DMM objects for the boss fight at the end of the level, where you have these large obsidian statues to break apart. In this fight, Starkiller annihilates Darth Vader and then Palpatine as well for good measure. And then it's game over because there's literally nobody else in the universe at this point who can stand against Starkiller's unlimited power. Plus he's already broken every DMM object in the game. So where to go from here? What else is there to do for a DMM addict like myself? Sure, there's the second Force Unleashed game, which sucks balls and has virtually no DMM of value. There are the expansions to the first game, which I might cover in another video at some point because I like the idea of force choking Obi-Wan Kenobi's ghost. And also smashing DMM objects. But I have bigger news, for there is hope for DMM games on the horizon. The developers of DMM have contacted me with a few showcases of a new version of the DMM tech, which on the surface doesn't seem any more advanced than the type seen in the Force Unleashed, but under the surface there are some cool changes made to it. Because DMM's weakness was never how stuff broke apart, it was how difficult it was to implement into experiences. And this is where they've improved upon it. It can work on the cloud, and in multiplayer games. What you see on your screen is the same as what everybody else on the server is seeing, and it's much easier to deal with and to implement into games, which was always the weakness of DMM in the Force Unleashed era. What with today's 6, 8 and even more core processors, I believe we could see much bigger and more complicated simulations taking place in the games of tomorrow, if developers take the plunge and risk it with a technology like DMM. I will link to their site in this video's description so you can see what they're working on for yourself. It astonishes me that almost 2 decades after DMM first saw the light of day, firstly, nothing else has come along to imitate what it does, and secondly, that the devs are still keen to support this tech, and are so open to talking with me about it. They seem genuinely passionate about what they do, and aware of the limitations with their tech. So thank you DMM devs. When I first made fake DMM examples all those years ago, I never thought I'd eventually get to talk to the people behind the real version of the tech, and for them to be so open and transparent about everything. May the Force be with them.